Okay, so this is the back of assignment 4. So I wanted you guys to skip the front of assignment 4 for the first day and just do the back, 11 through 26. So you should have checked all your answers. The first problems, 11 to 20, were just problems from previous assignments, solving trig equations. So we've been getting a lot of practice with that. And then 21 to 26 were the new kinds of problems where we're solving trig inequalities, but without graphing them, but doing line checks. Similar approach to what we did for polynomials. So I'll go ahead and do these problems. Hopefully you tried them first, checked them, and so let's see. So these first ones should probably go a little quicker. Hopefully you're doing these, hopefully you memorized all the common values. So you want to isolate the trig, add 1, divide by 2. Reference angle is, when does sine equal 1/2? That's that first angle, 30 degrees. What quadrants is it positive? Quadrant 1 and quadrant 2. So then x equals, quadrant 1 would be 30 degrees plus 360k. And quadrant 2 is going to be 180 minus alpha, so 150 degrees plus 360k. I do this every single time. Now we just want the answers from 0 to 360, so it's going to be 30 and 150. Now some of you might feel like it was unnecessary to write these expressions for all the infinite answers, but I feel like if you get in the hang of that now, you'll do great on all these. Even on the simple ones, I just practice doing it like I do every time. Isolate the trig. This is not an alpha situation because cosine equals -1 once at 180 degrees. You should have this graph burned into your memory, and there's the -1 halfway through. Plus 360k. And we just want the answers from 0 to 360, so it's just going to be 180. Okay, number 13. Isolate the trig, subtract square root of 3, divide by 2. Ignore the negative, reference angles, first quadrant, always positive. Ignore the negative. When does sine equal root 3 over 2? So this is a sine curve. 0, 1/2, root 2 over 2, root 3 over 2. 0, 30, 45, 60. So I memorized those sets of numbers separately. What quadrants is it negative in? 3 and 4. So write that down. So then all the possible answers are x equals quadrant 3 would be 180 plus alpha, so 240 plus 360k. You really should put the degree symbols on these. And quadrant 4 would be 360 minus alpha, so 300 plus 360k. I only want the answers from 0 to 360, so it's going to be 240 and 300. All right, hopefully you guys are getting good at these, and you can do these without having to draw triangles all the time and stuff like that. It's going to slow you down. Now, tangent, this is tangent equals 1. Now, I don't memorize values for tangent. What I remember about tangent is that it's sine over cosine. So, in other words, when does sine equal cosine? And there's a special place that happens, reference angle of 45 degrees. They're both root 2 over 2. It's the only place that happens. What quadrants are they going to have the same sign? Quadrant 1 and quadrant 3, they're both negative, which is going to make them divided by each other to become +1. So now the other trick is with tangent and cotangent, their period's actually 180 degrees. So you really could just go with the first one of those angles, 45 plus 180k, and that takes care of quadrant 3 and everything. So it's a nice compact answer. Or you could write quadrant 3 plus, you could do 45 plus 360k, and then the quadrant 3 angle plus 360k, and you'll get all the same answers. But we want 45 and 225 degrees. Okay, this one, cosine 2x, these are getting a little harder. They have stuff inside of them. I ignore the stuff inside and just isolate the trig. Reference angle, cosine goes like this. So 0, root 3 over 2, root 2 over 2, 1/2, and 0. So 1/2 is that further angle, 0, 30, 45, 60 degrees. Quadrants, 1 and 4 is where it's positive. So this is where we put the 2x equals, quadrant 1 would be 60 plus 360k. And then quadrant 4 is going to be 2x equals 300 plus 360k. And then I'm going to divide everything by 2, including the period. And we're going to actually end up getting double the answers we usually get. Usually you get 2 answers, you can get 4. You should expect to get 4. If you don't get 4, you should be worried. So all the answers from 0 to 360 be 30, 150, 210, and 330. If you have these expressions for all the infinite answers, then it's usually pretty easy to crank them all out. If people don't do this, I guarantee they're going to skip answers. They're going to miss some. This, to me, is the best way to do these problems. I've been doing this for years. I could probably pull this off my head. I don't think it's worth it, but this is the way I would do it. Reference angle, when the sign equal positive 1/2, ignore the negative at first. So that's 30 degrees. What quadrants is it? Negative. Now the negative comes in for the quadrants. So we're going to get 3x equals, quadrant 3 would be 180 plus alpha, 210 plus 360k. And quadrant 4 is going to be 360 minus alpha, so 330 plus 360k. Divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. X equals 70 plus 120k. We should get 3 times the answers we usually get because the period is a third of what it usually is. So it's going through all these values 3 times as fast. So we better get 6 answers. We usually get 2 for 0 to 360. So x equals 70, 110, 190, 230, add another 120 to that. Let's see, another 120 to this, you get 310 and 350. So there you go, 6 answers. That's how you do it. This is the way I would do it. Just be very thorough. It's so easy to make silly mistakes on these. Do you guys really want to lose test points just because you messed up something that was completely avoidable? Alpha, 30 degrees, quadrants, 1 and 4. 2x equals, quadrant 1 would be 30 degrees plus 360k. Quadrant 4 is going to be 330 plus 360k. Divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. X equals 15 plus 120k. X equals 165 plus, oops, this should be 180k. 180k. So we should get 4 answers: 15, 165, 195, and 345. Getting the hang of it? Now secant. Secant is 1 over cosine, right? So I would do this. I don't want to memorize new values for that. So change everything to that. Flip both sides upside down, which is allowed if you have a single fraction. Oh, this is just a cosine problem. Equal 1/2. That's reference angle 60 degrees. Quadrants 1 and 4. 2x equals 60 plus 360k. 2x equals, quadrant 4 would be 300. 360 minus alpha plus 360k. Divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. And we get 30 degrees plus 180k. And 150 plus 180k. We should get 4 answers. Usually we get 2, right? Normal period, but there's extra 2 in here. Halves the period, doubles the amount of answers. 30, 150, 210, 330. Really should put the degree symbols on these. Okay, cosecant. the cosecant would be 1 over sine, a co with a non-co is my trick, co with a non-co equals positive 2 over 1. So this is sine 3x equals 1/2. Reference angle, 30 degrees. Quadrants, 1 and 2. So where it's positive. So 3x, we should get 6 answers, right? 3x equals 30 degrees plus 360k. And 3x equals, quadrant 2 would be 150 plus 360k. Divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. 10 degrees plus 120k. 50 degrees plus 120k. And we get 10, 50, 130, 170, 250, and 290. There we go. 6 answers. Okay. Problem 20. Okay, this is where factoring comes in. We're going to take a sine 2x out, and there's going to be a 2 sine 2x minus 1 equals 0. So 0 product property, sine 2x equals 0. Okay, 0 product property, sine 2x equals 1/2. Now this one, 2x equals, when does sine equal 0? It's 0 plus 180k, right? And then this one is alpha equals 30 degrees, quadrant 1 and quadrant 2. So that's going to be 2x equals 30 plus 360k. And then 2x equals 150 plus 360k. Lots of answers, right? Divide by 2, 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 divide by 2. So x equals 0 plus 90k. X equals 15 plus 180k. And x equals 75 plus 180k. So all the answers are 0, 15, 75, 90. Next one here, let's see. If we add 180 this, add 180 that, we should probably go 180 because that's 90k. And then 195 and 155 and, or sorry, 195, 255, and then 270, and then add another, well, let's see, if we add another 180 to that, we're past it. If we add another 180 to that, we're past it. So the last one is 360. So those are all our answers. Now, is that what we expect? We expect to get 4 answers from this. And this, we're going to get 0, 90, 180, 270, 365. So we should have 9 answers total. 9 answers. It's always good to just double check what you think should happen. All right, so that was all review. But we're going to be pretty much doing this exact work on inequalities. And then we're going to add a line check, which you guys should be getting great at. So now there's a restriction here. Just like on pretty much any trig problem, I'm going to give you a restriction. I don't think you're really ever going to be asked to give the infinite answers. You may have had to do that before. So cosine x is greater than or equal to positive 1/2. So alpha equals, I'm going to just say equals 60 degrees, quadrant 1, quadrant 4. So then x equals 60 plus 360k. And x equals, quadrant 4 would be 300 plus 360k. So we just want 60 and 300. Those are our zeros. And I'm going to do a line check. I'm going to put these borders here, 0 to 360, make sure that's all I care about. These are going to be solid dots at 60 and 300. It doesn't really matter if you get these perfectly, but left to right, they should be in the right order. And we're going to test a value now. I'm going to test x equals 0 because it doesn't have a dot on it. Cosine of 0 is 1 times 2 is 2 minus 1 is 1 is positive is true. So that's true, false, true. And this true goes through that 0, by the way. It doesn't change at the 0 and the 360. Those aren't roots. So your answer is 0 to 60 brackets union 300 to 360. There you go. That's your answer, interval notation. So that's how we're doing it. So here, sine 2x. Now the thing to watch out for on these trig ones is when sine or cosine, once you isolate them like this, if they equal plus or minus 1, those are going to be bounces off the graph. You got to not forget about it. Now I shouldn't say equals, I should say less than. So alpha equals 30 degrees, reference angle, quadrants, 3 and 4 because it's negative. So 2x equals quadrant 3 would be 180 plus alpha, 210 plus 360k. Quadrant 4 is going to be 360 minus alpha, so 330 plus 360k. Divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. X equals 105 plus 180k. And x equals 165 plus 180k. All the roots, zeros, 105, 165, 285, 345. Those are all your zeros. So you can put in a number line. So here's your number line. Border, 0 to 360. Put brackets because it's or equals to. If they didn't say or equals to, put parentheses. Because then that helps me make sure I get my answers the right way. So these are open dots, 105, 165, 285, 345. Test a value. I love testing x equals 0 in trig because it's so easy. Sine of 0 is 0 times 2 is 0 plus 1 is positive, is not negative, is false, true, false, true, false. So your answers are just 105 to 165, parentheses, and 285 to 345, parentheses. So you can see most of the work on these is just like the work from above, except you do a line check at the end, which I kind of feel like is the easy part. You might have to use some factoring, take a sine x out of everything, GCF. Right? Zero product property says you can set each of these equal to 0. I'm going to go and start solving, and alarm bells are going off in my head. Sine or cosine equal plus or minus 1 once you isolate the trig. It's a bounce. So these are, neither of these I'm doing reference angles, alphas, because, or quadrants. These are special. Sine equals 0 at 0 plus 180k. And sine equals 1 at 90 plus 360k. That one only happens once a period. Don't forget, everything that comes from that are going to be bounces. So we have 0, 180, 360. And then we have 90, which is just the 1. Okay, so we do a line check. 0 to 360. Borders. Now, those are actually going to be dots, solid dots. And solid dot at 180. And solid dot at 90. But that's a star. Now, what am I going to test? 0 is my favorite. My next favorite would probably be 90 and then 180. I don't know. Should we do... should we do 270? I don't know. It's up to you. 270. Sine 270 is negative 1. So, negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1, minus negative 1 is another plus 1, is 2 is true. So this is true. False stays false. True. False. right? So there is a lone answer of 0 degrees. It's on the edge of a big chunk, but we're only taking answers from 0 to 360. And by the way, there's also a lone answer at 9 degrees. So we could just put those in the same thing. Now, a comma between these, this is not interval notation. It's called set notation. And these curly braces are what tells you it's not interval. Those are just discrete values. And then 180 to 360. So this is a nice way of writing that answer. Okay. All right. Number 24. Factor out a cosine 2x. And there's a 2 cosine 2x left and a plus 1. So we're doing factoring a trig. So cosine 2x equals 0. And over here, cosine 2x is going to equal negative 1 divided by 2. Not a bounce. Okay? Now, cosine equals 0 at 90 degrees plus 180k. Alpha, when does cosine equal 1/2? 60 degrees. When is it negative? 2 and 3 quadrants. So 2x equals quadrant 2 would be 180 minus alpha 120 plus 360k. And I don't know, I'm going to squeeze this in here. Quadrant 3 would be 180 plus alpha 240 plus 360k. So divide by 2, 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 divide by 2. X equals 45 plus 90k. X equals 60 plus 180k. X equals 120 plus 180k. Now, none of these are bounces. So we got 45. Now, if you want, you don't have to try and put them all in order. I've been doing that just to be nice and clean and stuff, but it's kind of hard to figure out sometimes. I think it's actually easier, probably just focus on one at a time. 45, 135, 225, 315. Then go to this one, 60, 240. And this one, 120, 300, right? Is that easier? Now, you got to make sure that when you put on a number line, they're in order. So number line, boundaries at 0 to 360. So open dot. Now, this is where I kind of, these are going to be open dots, 45. Now, I'm not going to put the degrees on my number line. It's getting too crowded. 60, 120, 135, 240, 225, and then 240, and then 300, and then 315. Now, I'm going to test 0, x equals 0. Cosine 0 is 1, times 1 is 1, times 2 is 2, plus 1 is 3, is not less than 0, is false. So false, true, false, true, false, true, false, true, false. So here we go. The answer is, now for the answer, I'm going to put the degree symbols. So the answer is parentheses 45 degrees to 60 degrees, union 120 degrees to 135 degrees, union 225 to 240, union 300 to 315. There you go. There you go. That was pretty detail oriented. You got to be careful on these. Okay, next one. Factor out the sine 3x, and we have a 2 sine 3x and minus 1 left over. 0 property. Sine 3x equals 0. Sine 3x equals positive 1/2. Reference angle is 30 degrees. Quadrants 1 and 2. 3x equals, when does sine equal 0? 0 plus 180k. Divide by 3, divide by 3. X equals 0 plus 60k. All right, this one is going to be 3x equals 30 degrees plus 360k. And we divide by 3 and get 10 plus 120k. And the next one is going to be 3x equals 150 degrees plus 360k. Divide by 3, divide by 3. X equals 50 degrees plus 120k. And so all of our zeros are going to be 0, 60, 120, 180, 240, 300, 360. Oh my gosh, that's all from that first one. And then also 10, 130, 250, and 50, and 170, and 170, and 290. Wow. We're going to try and squeeze all these together. All right. 0 to 360. Like I said, now I'm going to wait to even put this other end on here. We got 0. We need 10. Now these are solid dots. 10. Now any of these going to bounce off the graph? Nope. 10, 50, 60, 120, 130, 170, 180, 240, 250, 290, 300, 360. Oh my gosh. That's also the edge. Okay, do we get them all? I mean, we do expect to get 6 from this, and then this, usually we would get 3, but we're going to get 9. So 6, 9, 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13? Yeah, I guess it's 13. Okay. Okay, now we got test a point, can't test 0, but also realize that any value of x you pick, you might pick a weird one because if you multiply by 3, that's actually what you're going to evaluate. So like if you're like, well, if I did 30, that would be sine of 90, which is 1. So I'm going to do 30 because all those signs become 1. So you get 2 minus 1 is 1, is positive is true. So 30 is true, false, false, true, false, true, false. True, false, true, false, true, false, true. Remember back when you were taught that you could test each region to figure these out? No way. You don't want to do that. You want to test one and get the pattern going. So the answer is 0 to 10, brackets, 50 to 60, brackets. I put the degrees in these. This is your answer. 120 to 130. I mean, this was a mean problem. Sorry. 170 to 180. 240 to 250. 290 to 300. And guess what? Watch out. Sneaky little 360. All on its own because, I mean, it's part of an interval, but it's at the edge of where we're cutting off our answers. So it's just in curly braces. Now let's see if I made a mistake because I have a different answer. So what did I do wrong? Sine. Oh, shoot. Sine of 30 was true. Gosh dang it. So I made one little mistake. I don't know. I mean, I would, that was the only mistake I made. So I would give you guys a lot of credit. So, all right, I'm not going to redarken it in, but instead it's going to be 0 degrees is the lone answer. And then 10 to 50 and then 60 to 120, and then 130 to 170, and 180 to 240, and 250 to 290, and 300 to 360. Now, one thing you could do, I guess, if you really want to make sure, is you could test another region. After you really should just hopefully have to test one, but if you want to test one more just to double check that your answer came out right, then I could help you just double check it. But, man, okay, I'm ready for a problem to be nice. Okay, so now this one is kind of interesting. You don't want to start factoring until it equals 0. Otherwise, factoring doesn't even help. It doesn't even make sense. Factoring is going to help you take advantage of what they call the zero product property, which means everything's got to equal 0. So now this is like a trinomial. So 2 sine x and sine x, right? So it's kind of like a quadratic trinomial, but instead of x's, there's sine x's. And we need pair numbers that multiply together to get -1, but so it's got to be a 1 and a 1, and one's got to be positive, one's got to be negative. You got to end up with a negative sign in the middle. So this one's a negative, this one's a positive. So then sine x equals -1/2, and then this other one, sine x equals alarm bells, sine or cosine equal plus or minus 1 is a problem child, or is a bounce off the graph. So alpha equals 30 degrees, quadrants 3 and 4. So x equals 180 plus alpha, 210 plus 360k, and x equals 330 plus 360k. And here, sine equals 1 at 90 degrees. That's it, plus 360k. So we have 90, 210, and 330. Wow. I was needing a break like this. So 0 to 360. These are open dots at 90, 210, 330. Test, I get to test 0. I mean, I'm getting all the breaks this time. Sine of 0 is 0. Minus 0. Is 0 greater than 1? No. False. Oh, crap. Ooh. This guy. Watch out for this guy. I almost missed it. But I remembered. I made that mark and I totally forgot. It's so easy. False. False. True. False. So the answers are only 210 to 330. That's it. Parentheses. Wow. Don't put the 90. That's an open dot. It's not a lone answer. If it were solid dots, then yeah, you'd put the 90 as its own answer. So there you go. That was kind of definitely a challenge in the details. So, but we need to be good, quick, reliable on this. You'll notice I show a lot of work. I'm very structured. I'm very purposeful in the work I show because it's so easy to make mistakes here. I even made some, even with all my diligence. So anyways, we're going to do the front of this worksheet after the next notes, okay? When I show you guys how I want you to graph.